Hey everyone. No, I'm good. Good night, everybody. Happy. Oh, Dimitri. Awesome.
Hey,
Hey Tom, how you doing?
good. How about you?
Doing good. Doing good. Got up early, but I squeezed in a nap. So
So he has no power today.
so far, yeah. He actually last week, for 2 days, he was out of power. It really sucked for him. Obviously,
A storm or just
it's
something?
part of it. Part of it's living, in.
Well, yeah, I figured that, but I didn't want to say it.
But part of it is it was due. This one was due. The one from a couple days ago was due from a heavy storm that came in.
Oh, okay. I was to say infrastructure.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But welcome everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Robert, Ray, and Dimitri. I see on Zoom at least, and then whoever else is streaming. Tom, do you know? Is there a way to see? I can see number of people watching, but is there a way to see who's actually watching on you? Do you know?
What do you mean? Like, I can see viewers.
I can see a count of viewers, but can you actually see who's viewing?
I mean, isn't that the same thing?
No. Knowing who? My point.
Oh, no, no.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, I've tried that before. Because I'm like, okay, I got one person watching the entire video. Who is it? I want to say hi.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Unless they make a chat comment, I can't tell.
Go. So welcome everyone. We were just saying Zace's power is out at the moment. Hopefully he'll come back in, but or be in for the hero hour at least. But how's it going? What's going on? We got anyone got questions to work on?
I see a hand.
A hand. Where do you see a hand?
Oh, Ray.
What's going on, Ray? Oh, in the webcam. Okay, sorry.
Here's my hand.
Well, Zoom has a thing you can put your hand up. That's why I was confused. But yeah, what you got working on, Ray?
Okay. I have a macro that opens a few websites. The next step on the website is pressing return on the sign in button. How would I do that?
Well, let's slow down through it. So it sounds like you have a script that launches the web pages, right? Do you have it filling out your username and password? Is that already done?
LastPass does that. LastPass fills it.
Well, then chances are, if you're using it for that, then you'd probably want to click on a button, right, to tell it to sign in. Right. See, if you were,
I can't automate that.
That's what I'm saying. You want to let me rephrase. You want to mimic clicking on a button. You need to somehow send the click to that button, right? Which is what I think we talked about this before. Out of everything we do with AutoHotkey, web scraping, manipulating a browser is sadly one of the most complicated things that we do, and part of it is because every browser page is made, HTML is crazy complex, and every developer creates their page differently, right? So it's much more complicated than most programs. And also, so one login page might have it set up one way, but another page, even on the same website, might be entirely different, right? So actually using an API approach, meaning a programmatic way to trigger that button click, is really, it can be difficult, right? Not always. Tom has shown us auto control is a extension for Chrome that you can use to send JavaScript and do things, which it works pretty reliably. And then you can use AutoHotkey to actually trigger the auto control if you like, or it has a built-in GUI that you can use and have it as a hotkey, but it would be separate in that case from your AutoHotkey script. Or you could use like RIFIDIUM for doing the entire process of loading up the pages, navigating, sending your username, password, and then hitting the button. Or you could use something like Automate My Task to just look for that image, waiting for it to appear and click it once it's there, which is not very reliable. However, it's probably the easiest out of all of them.
I like easy.
The
What
auto
was
control is pretty simple. A lot of times I tell people, I'm like, hey, if you're gonna just do web browser stuff, you don't even need AHK for it.
It's true.
I'm trying to find that video.
What were you saying, Ray?
you said the last one was the easiest, and what was the last one?
Well, easy is defined, partially on your skill set, right? So auto control it's an extension that automates Chrome. It's pretty easy to use, and mainly because you can either directly work with JavaScript, or they have a GUI that allows you to tell it, to build your code for you, kind of like pullover macro recorder kind of thing, right? A GUI interface to help you design your code. But again, that would be a separate. Well, you could set it up and have a hotkey assigned to it, and then just have AutoHotkey send that keystroke, which would trigger the auto control, right? Or, which is what Tom was saying, if you're just automating a browser entirely, you could do the whole thing in auto control and not use AutoHotkey.
Yeah, the only time I ever use it for that is if I need to pass data between, a program and the browser. But if I'm doing everything in the browser, like AHK is not even needed.
Okay. I think I'm just gonna click on it manually.
Yeah, it's and the other thing is, when you are setting either your username or password, I know you said your password thing is providing it, but do you have an idea of where your I always get them confused, the cursor versus the caret. The cursor is on the screen.
You mean once I run the AutoHotkey? Yeah, I see it. It's in the user ID field.
Mm-hmm.
4 clicks brings it down to sign in.
Well, and that was what I was going to say, was you could try. I don't know if it'll work, but you could try using tabs to get to that button, and then send the enter key, or a control click, or just a regular mouse click, right to those coordinates. But it's not a great approach, honestly.
Here, I can show auto control real quick, just to give a basic so people understand.
That'd be awesome.
Come on, there we go. So it's an extension. So you come up here, go to auto control keyboard, and it basically works like AutoHotkeys, where you design like an actual hotkey. So like F5 here, Shift Alt P. So if I come in here and create a new action, I can be like, okay, I want it to be F1. All I do is hit F1 on my keyboard, assigns it. And then here you got tons of options. So you can do like, zoom in, open new tab. That's probably what you're looking for. Go to a website. And then you do need to know a little bit of JavaScript. So this is what you're going to be looking for. This is focus. So focus on that element. And you just, after that, just a keyboard, enter. Find chat.
Well, or you could get the element of the button and send a click, right?
Yeah. You can do a click, a space, enter, whatever works best for you. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. So if you want AHK to work with this, basically what I do is I write some code that says like, press F1, and Control Alt. That's going to trigger this, even if you're not focused. You got a lot of options. The one I like to tell people about, I think it's advanced, run script. This is where you can actually put JavaScript. So as it sees, alert, hello world.
Yeah, or even better to me, in my opinion, is you select that external file option, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that what's really cool about that is you can point it to a file, and then AutoHotkey, you can rewrite that JavaScript file however you want dynamically, right? So it allows you to basically use this extension to connect to the DOM and do the stuff you want without using Chrome or RIFIDIUM. We actually, for Udemy, I was trying to log in to get the number of people who bought a course, this and that, and Udemy was detecting RIFIDIUM was automating the web page. So we couldn't use that to automate it, and so we switched over to this, and it made it really, really simple and easy.
Yeah, and for the password and stuff, you probably want to check out Clipboard. You got like paste. If you focus, paste, then tab maybe, like he was saying. Yeah, this is really great. Very easy tool. Oh, and you can name them apparently. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, one thing I don't like, Tom, on this, it's just a little sort of pet peevish, but the whole assigning of the buttons and removing them, like, I don't know about you, but that GUI interface, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, no, it takes some getting used to.
Yeah.
It took me a while to like figure out you have to double click everything.
Yeah, it just, to me, it's not intuitive, but I really like the tool. It's a great tool to have in your toolbox.
Oh, and you can share too, somewhere.
The other approach you can do, and I've actually written these guys, and they've written back. I was hoping for an API to be able to do the stuff, but they don't have anything available. But you can also work with the clipboard within this tool. So you can have AutoHotkey do stuff, dump stuff in your clipboard, have it activate off that, or vice versa, right? And you can get your data back from this tool via the clipboard, which is highly reliable and fast and easy.
Yep, and you just do like clip wait, so it can your script can also. You also saved a file, and it's a DAT file. So if you want to share, your script with someone who needs this, you can save it, and then they just come here and say restore from file, and all the code's done for them.
The other thing I was going to mention, Tom, is it's when you go to install this extension, it's kind of unclear to me of like what's going on, but because here you can see you can assign a hotkey. You can assign a hotkey to it when you're installing it. It'll ask you if you want to have, and I forget, Tom, do you remember what it's called? It's some sort of a service that's always running, right? And that's because if you want to be able to hit that hotkey even if Chrome isn't running, that's what they're doing. Is that way they have auto control running in the background. You hit your hotkey, it would launch Chrome, right? Because if Chrome isn't running, these things wouldn't be available, for you, I think, on their own. But that was one thing that perplexed me when I was installing it. It's like, hey, we're going to add this other thing to your startup, and I'm always hesitant when I see things added to my startup group. And then I realized that's why they're doing it, is so you can use a hotkey whether Chrome's running or not.
Okay. When AutoHotkey opens a web page, if I click commands after that, the focus will be on the web page, or do I have to somehow put the focus onto the web page?
It just depends on the page and what you're doing. Like, every page is different. My home page that I built myself, I tell it to focus the cursor where my Google search is, because I want to be able to just type right away, right? But not every page does that. It just depends on the page itself and what's going on. Typically, you can hit tab and it will switch between edit fields at least, or even buttons. So you can usually get to it that way.
Okay, I've got some ideas. I'll try to take it from here. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I thought about making a few more, and Tom mentioned when he was showing it that you're working basically with JavaScript, but to me, a little more importantly, is it's the DOM. Like, get familiar with the DOM, and you can watch all my previous videos on even on IE working with the DOM. That's all still relevant. He is correct. You're using JavaScript, but to me, when he had the example up, I'm like, it's really cool because you start playing with the DOM. And the DOM, if you want to learn web scraping at all and working with web pages, the DOM is almost like 99% of the battle, right? Like once you learn the DOM, everything becomes so much easier. It just takes a while to learn it.
The DOM?
Yeah, the document object model. It's a standard from the EE3 or whatever. I forget what standard it is, but it's in every browser uses it. Every modern browser, I should say. And it's a structure. Think of it. A lot of people explain it as like the map, like for your house, and telling you how to get to things and where they are. We have a really awesome. I'll look it up and put it in the chat here. A webinar on web scraping that talks a lot about the DOM and getting a unique ID to a given element or whatever. And that's really one of the things you're trying to do with it.
Yeah, I think that was me trying to explain that, where I was like, the difference between COM and DOM. I was like, DOM is like you knock on someone's door and you say, hey, I need this item in your house. Here's where it's at. The person then gets the item and then brings it to you.
Buddy, and welcome to
Where COM's more like you walk in the person's house and go get it yourself.
Are there any other questions?
I've heard a lot of people trying to do this.
Not now. I'll observe.
Hello, day. Oh, I see a hand.
Yeah.
Hey, Robert.
I saw, maybe it was the last time or maybe in one of the webinars or videos that I was watching, Jean Lalonde was working on a clipboard tool of some sort. And I guess I wanted to find out whether or not he or you all are available or aware of Ace Text, and whether or not Jean was looking at that as a model to use in his clipboard tool. It's by a company called Just Great Software, and it's a wonderful tool in that it maintains a history of all clips and allows one to go back. I can, if you want, I can show you
Sure.
what I'm talking about.
From what you're describing, though, I think I can answer it and just say no, because his tool isn't a history type tool, right, of the clipboard. It's a tool that you can use to automate changes in your clipboard. So things going forward automatically, like I have one going right now. If I have something with the automator in it, it will detect that that's in my clipboard and search and replace and capitalize the A and do formatting to it, right? So I don't have to do that. Anytime something gets copied to my clipboard, it checks to see if that's there and does it. And his tool allows you to do that and 99 more powerful things, right? But it's an ongoing thing. It's not to say what's in, you can go edit your clipboard, which he does it, but to me, the real strengths are much more about creating rules that you can then keep running, whenever you want, and it updates your clipboard for you. Does that make sense?
Yes, Ace Text, I don't fully appreciate all the capabilities of it, but well, I can show you what I'm talking about. I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. If no one else has any questions, I'm cool with that. Right? Like it's.
Oh, well, I can get rid of this, but that.
No, go for it. No.
Is Ace Text right there, and I mean, part of, I mean, obviously what's currently in the clipboard, but then simply by double clicking on this now, that is in the clipboard.
Mhm.
And you can edit it. I mean, you can edit any of these, whatever. And, at any rate, that was something that I was just going to ask about. I was curious whether John was working on that.
Yeah, he's on vacation, by the way, having hopefully a great time somewhere. But I'll have to remember to ask him, or I can write him, and I can let me message him and just say, hey, have you ever looked at this?
Well, it's Ace Text by Just Great Software.
Yeah, I'm on the page.
They have a number of other.
And speaking of which, just so everyone, they're probably aware by now because it's been out for quite a while. But in Windows 10 and Windows 11, the Windows key in V, now you have a clipboard history, which I don't care for, but it's better than nothing, right? To easily go back through and things you had in your clipboard, and you can pin items, and that interface sucks. But anyway, it is nice that it's now available, that they have at least something. But Zayas and I talked about, man, we need to make a much better tool, something you could search, type stuff quickly and search through, and easily have things stored and to jump around. But yeah,
I did a video like that where I think it's called Better Clipboard because how much it sucked. So it shows like history, and it uses like context menus so you can access it from like anywhere. That was like 2 years ago. I did that one. Yeah, no, it's definitely better to do it in AutoHotkeys.
And there are some really cool tools in AutoHotkey for working with your clipboard. WinClip is a class that has some crazy powerful stuff for working with your clipboard. Does anyone else have anything they're working on or any questions? Dimitri, you been doing anything fun?
Hello, good evening. No, I'm currently, I have some problems with my WinSpector tool at my company. We have received some excellent 4K screens. That's very fun. But now we have set the zoom scale level to 150, and that causes a lot of troubles with a lot of programs that are running a little bit older.
Yeah.
And also my WinSpector tool is, it's getting crazy, but yeah, I'm not sure if I will fix it because it seems like a lot of work, because I made it so that that's quite flexible, but of course that also causes problems for that. And I think that some of the version 2 commands of AutoHotkey, that they sometimes you get the coordinates in with the DPI level and sometimes without it. So I suspected that is causing a problem.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Going back to the clipboard thing, some guy just messaged and he said use Ditto. I've used that before, and it's definitely better than Ace Text.
Yeah, Ditto's
a while, but I know Ditto's like really good for clipboard stuff.
Jean's a big user of it. I know he's referred to it a lot. But what surprised me was I thought it was actually written on AutoHotkey, but it's not. I'm like, oh, okay. But there are, if you search the forum, there are so many clipboard, tools out there. Which is also why Jean was purposely not making a clipboard history type of thing, right? He wanted a way to allow people to write. A big part of it is to write rules to apply to your clipboard.
I can show my IDE real quick, just for fun.
Cool. Yeah, let's see it. Yeah.
So I started with like trying to do like piping with AutoHotkey, so I could run code without actually saving, and eventually it led to a whole project just for the heck of it. But yeah, so it's kind of in a few parts right now. But I got like this practicing like syntax highlighting, so you can see. Well, hopefully you can see on the small screen.
Ooh.
Changing the colors. And then the actual thing is this. So you can type in like message box, and it's going to detect right down here that you typed it. Eventually it'll change color. And then I can just click this if I want autofill. What else can I do? I can search for commands. Obviously I don't have very many. Does that. This is probably the hardest part to get to work. But you select it, you can go dock, and that's on the other window, but it'll take you straight to the page. Or you can push YouTube, and it's going to open a YouTube page for that command. Or it's supposed to.
Yeah. Our AutoHotkey help tool, and you might want to take a look at it to borrow from some of the stuff. It allows you to pull up the AutoHotkey help documentation in one tab, and then the second tab has YouTube videos from my channel, your channel, Raptor X's channel, and I think Hellbent as well. Anyway, it's filtered on the words that you were searching for. But yeah, it's cool. And the other day we're working on a script to help me automate emailing people, and we were last night Isaias was updating that, like the thing you're doing there, to have it as a dark theme with the colors and stuff, which is really cool that you can do this kind of stuff, still with AutoHotkey. And are you using the Scintilla DLL or what?
For what?
For the coloring.
Oh, what did I do? This I actually took from offline, so I haven't even really gone through it yet. So I haven't got this working 100%. Plus, I'm gonna have to sit there and add every single command.
Yeah, but the enable to change the colors of the text. Were you going to do that with AutoHotkey?
Yeah, that's what it's doing right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just loops through, looks for anything that matches for this variable.
We have a video, and I honestly don't remember. I know we covered the Scintilla DLL and the control and what you can do with it, but see the Lexer behind, like the which your Notepad++ site for AutoHotkey, and I forget there's a third really well known one, but they all use like the Scintilla DLL for rendering the different colors, right? From I think it's a Lua script if I remember right. Maybe someone can correct me, but it is so fast, and really, and Studio also leverages it, by the way, AutoHotkey Studio. It takes care of the colors for you, and I know from talking to Isaias and Maestriath that they both said, and actually I think now that I think about it, I think Geek Dude's Quick Code Tester, I think also relies on it.
Yeah.
But it's just a better, well, from talking to them, right, it's a faster way to be doing the colors for you. Because it takes care of it on its own, and it's kind of like a whole, regex engines are built they're optimized for search and for text and that. That's why they're so fast. It's kind of the same concept of, hey, use the tool that is built for that to do that part of what you're doing. Anyway, something to think about.
Yeah. No, I got a whole to-do list, so I have to add that all that. Somewhere.
Yeah, maybe we could plan a time for, because Isaias has done, and so has Maestriath. They've both done this a lot. Maybe we could plan a joint video to have them give us an overview of how to do it, right? Because this is the stuff that to me I'm just like, yeah, it's just too geeky for me, right? Like, I don't want to be a programmer doing that kind of stuff, right? I think it's awesome that people can do it, and I'm happy to pay someone to do it. But for me, I'm like, yeah, it's just too geeky. I got other stuff to do.
Yeah. No, I just did it for fun. So this is my to-do list. So I got between V1, V2 code, make pretty. So that's kind of like the dark theme stuff. Add all the V1 commands, all the V2 commands, all the commands, and syntax highlighting. So lots to do.
So Brian just asked if there's an easy way to see if Zoom is muted or not with AutoHotkey. There's a couple ways. The first thing I would do, let me see this inspect tool that I use for the UI automation approach. Now, Isaias and I, here we go. Wait, launch way over there. Let me just first. I I see the problem is on Zoom. I don't know if I don't think you can see my. If I drag it to Zoom, you won't see it. So, me sharing my screen, I don't think is really going to help. But let me turn this on because yeah, there's the record. Where's the mute? There's the mute. So let me click. But now, it's got a name. I'm trying to see if there's an ID. But there's probably a way to see if it's enabled or not. That would be my first go-to. The other one, which I'm trying to think through of last week, and actually someone, and I forget who it was, chimed in to the live stream chat. So during the call, Guy, or maybe that was in the AutoHotkey Hero Hour, mentioned a tool. Was it in here for managing different audio for different programs? Oh, it was, because it was in this call, because this is the one on YouTube, right? And someone chimed in there. Here's a couple tools you could use to see by program set the languages. Besides the one that he mentioned, which I can't remember the name of it, but that would be the other option. Possibly is there a way to see the program itself has, a volume level? Maybe there's a way to detect that, would be my guess. But getting back to Zoom with UI automation, I would try to take a stab at it myself right now. But one of the videos that we failed on, as I said, I failed on. I'm saying failed as a relative term. We were trying to automate Zoom. And I said, hey, this is a popular program. Let's automate it to show how you can automate it with the UI automation, because Zoom is one of those programs that doesn't have modern, or it has modern controls and stuff that you can't peek in with the AutoHotkey controls, right? So Isaias is working on it, and it turns out like Zoom has 3 versions of Zoom, launched in executables, and it was really complicated to get down to what we wanted to do. And so even though we had recorded the video, it was just a big failure, so we didn't share it. But we got close, so at some point we'll come back to it and try to show how to, manipulate Zoom. But it was because there's multiple. Most programs don't have multiple instances of them running, right? And that's what made it a little bit more complex. Oh, Ear Trumpet. Yeah, I think that was it. Because I heard Trumpet. I heard Guy, and he's from the UK somewhere, and I heard something else, Trumpet, and I heard Air Trumpet, and I'm like, I was trying to Google it, and then later he was in the next hour, and he said it again. I'm like, oh, Ear Trumpet. It's a Windows app that you can go to the Windows Store and download for free. However, I couldn't get it to install on my computer because my Windows app stuff just doesn't always work right. But thank you, Vuni, for that. That was the one he mentioned. Actually, let me see. I bookmarked. Oh no, I just navigated off our page from Nearsoft sound volume view. Let me get the URL and go back. Hopefully to the streaming. There we go. So this is one of the tools, because I had bookmarked it and installed it. That I did get to download and run. Nearsoft, they have another tool, I forget what it is, that I've used, so I trust them as far as having software that works. But yeah, and Ear Trumpet might be something you want to check out, but I don't know of another way to easily do that. To check if Zoom's muted or not. We got any other questions?
Someone was asking about INI files. I saw.
Were they?
Or Zoom.
Yeah.
Not an INI file. I'm pretty sure. I think it's just called .zoom.
Well, I mean, it's worth
like
checking in your apps storage, whatever file. The local roaming thing is where Zoom puts the stuff. It's still worth checking. I'd be surprised, but it is worth taking a look at to see if there isn't any file there.
Well, I know it's like .zoom, but it might be the same thing as like an INI, like treat it the same way.
Yeah, but what's a sorry, what are you saying, Tom?
So it's not technically an INI file. It's
What's not?
Hmm.
What's not an INI file?
Well, like the extension name on the Zoom settings.
Sure, but on the settings. That's what I was trying to
Yeah,
clarify.
yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I thought you were talking about the executable. That's why I was like, I don't understand.
No.
Yeah.
No, like where your data is stored for whatever settings you got. It
Now-
probably works like an INI file, but it's not called an INI file. It's a .zoom. At least that's what I've seen before. I've never actually opened it.
So something else to check, of course, is the registry, which often things will be stored there. And once you find that location, now Zoom, by the way, and I forget what we were talking about. I think it was last week in this call, but everyone was talking, and I couldn't throw it out there. But Zoom, that was in the Heroes Hour. Sorry, but we were talking about having an auto updater program, and you can't do an auto update if your program is running. You can't, get a new version going because that program is running. You have to basically kill that program and then relaunch it later with the new version, right? Well, Zoom, because I use Zoom so much, I have hotkeys to launch the different Zoom meetings and everything. It makes it very convenient. However, the brilliant people from Zoom, apparently when they do, because every time I update it, not all my crap stops working. And what they do is they actually change the active location of where Zoom is run from. So when they update it, they put the new version in a different folder, and then somewhere, probably the registry, they point to that to say that's the active version of Zoom. So when I reference my executable,
Weird.
yeah, it's a really, really annoying. So I always have to remember to go do that, and I'm sure I can solve it, long term. But I'm like, whatever. I just have to remember when I update Zoom to go find the new path, and it's really just two. It's binary. It goes back and forth. It's this one, then it's that one, then it's this one, then it's that one. So I just keep both in my code and just change that, every time I update.
Dimitri was saying he had something cool to show.
Cool. Yeah, and I muted you, Dimitri, just because the keyboard was kind of loud. Sorry, but
Okay, I'll share my screen. So, for those who are familiar with version 2, you have the map object, and it's actually something like an associative array in version 1. And you can access it with this command, so I'll just test it. This works, okay. But in version 1 we're used that it's case insensitive. And in version 2, of course, it will fail. But version 2 has some trick for it. Here to make the case sense off, then this also will work. So that makes it case insensitive. Okay. That's easy, that's also in the documentation. But if you want to use a syntax like the point and then the name, then it of course will fail, because in version 2 that's something of a property.
shouldn't you have two braces on that, regardless, even if it is going to fail? Shouldn't there be? I see one bracket, but not another one on line 10.
That's just text. So.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying it.
Yeah. Okay, but somebody learned a trick. Let me trick. I think it. Excuse me.
Could you zoom in just a little bit too, just for? It's a little.
How can we Control plus?
Usually, there we go. Oh, hey.
Okay.
Thank you.
So actually, this line actually hacks the map object, so that it's still allowed. So we test it, and he will accept everything.
Cool.
And it's just a simple line. I'm not really understanding what it's doing, but
yeah, but it works, right? Yeah.
But it works, but it's so short, and yeah, I'm sorry. It's.
How do you get those colors there, where it says like red and green? That's kind of cool.
That's something of VS Code.
Yeah. Yeah, it just does it automatically. Studio does the same thing. It doesn't do the box, but if you have a color that's, what are those called, the hex colors? It'll automatically show it in that color.
I guess I've never done that in VS.
Yeah, and you can hover over it and then change the color as you like.
That'll be helpful for my syntax highlighting.
So this kind of a nice way to hack. Actually, I learned it from THQBI on GitHub. We were discussing. He had a class of the version 2 of Chrome with AHK, but it was returning the objects as a map. So I found it annoying that the syntax would have changed. So and he demonstrated me this trick. Yeah, it's crazy what you can do. But the strange thing is, if you remove the case sense, then it becomes case sensitive. What is kind of strange because the properties. What's this?
It's a poll. I didn't mean to actually launch it right there, but I did. I'm just curious if people watching this, and if you guys are watching in the YouTube thing, if you want to chat, like, are you guys using version 1, 2? You know, ironically, I can't vote, but
Oh, really? I like your last one. Not a chance.
well, some people are like, yeah, you know, just never. But anyway, so sorry, Dimitri. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm not sure why he is. Okay, apparently not a lot of people.
Well, it's 40% are. That's, to me, not out of. I mean, granted, there's 5 people voted, right? And I think you could actually, you'd throw me and Azace in there, we'd say yes. So that's half are playing with it.
Expected a string but got an array. What is going on? If we remove this. I know. Probably this is case sensitive. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, that.
But if we change it now to not capsulated, you get an error. What is kind of strange because properties in version 2 aren't case sensitive, but if you use this trick, they become case sensitive. Is everybody following?
Yeah, cool. And Lasha said that he's using version 2, so. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand why it's hard to switch to version 2. If you have a large, at my company, I have made a quite a large script. I think it's more maybe 40,000 lines, and
Wow.
that's kind of hard to convert.
Yeah.
I went through that too, where mine was like 80,000 lines of code, and I was like, "Yeah, we're not making this version 2. Screw that." I mean, there's some converters out there that can help, but they're not perfect yet.
Well,
Yeah,
Dimitri,
thanks. That's my converter.
right. Dimitri's been working on it. Yeah.
Oh, is that yours?
Yeah.
Actually,
I did a video about you then.
yeah, you did. Indeed, it's not perfect, but for small scripts, it works quite.
Oh yeah, it works
well.
amazing.
Yeah.
I think the only
Except
issue I
for-
ever ran into was like GUI problems, trying to convert those.
Yeah, but even them, they are. It's still okay. But
That's
yeah,
funny. I never realized it was you that made it.
Actually, I was building it off of somebody else, but it wasn't working anymore. So when the beta version came out, I started to fix it, and then I worked a holiday on it to make it a little bit better, and now it's working okay. Yeah.
No, it works great.
Yeah, and Dimitri does a lot of stuff with GUIs, right? And that's where, to me, version 2, if you're building GUIs, version 2 has a really big advantage, right? It's so much clearer and easier.
Random announcement, but probably towards the end of this year, AutoHotkeys will be coming out for Linux and Mac. They'll be compatible, apparently. So it's being written in C# and just like completely overhauled and everything. So that'll be kind of
cool.
That's amazing. I'm an avid Linux user, so I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah, so it'll be in C#, so it'll be able to be on any OS. The guy working on it, he's kind of doing it in his free time. So he said hopefully towards the end of this year. I think he's calling it Key#. You'll be able to Google it. Yeah, here we go.
I'm curious.
So it was originally Iron Hotkey.
HK. Well, Iron HK. Yeah, but that's been dead. That's been around for a long time and then died. I'd just be really surprised at what, value it brings. The big strength of AutoHotkey is, of course, how close it ties into Windows API, right? And gives you access to stuff. So I'm like, what are they going to do in those other environments? Like, are they tying into those OSs, or is it just,
Yeah, I know he said he had about like 90% of all functionality still there, but obviously, there's going to be stuff that we'll miss a little bit.
One thing that I've noticed about, especially contrast between Linux and Windows, is Linux has such an open platform, and you can really dig into the text configuration files where you don't need an API in a lot of situations. And so a lot of people have not, it's kind of been a non-issue. But if you're like myself, where in my professional environment, I have to use Windows and I love AutoHotkey, but then I go home and I want to work on my Linux machine and I've developed all this muscle memory from all my hotkeys, it can be a little annoying. I mean, and there is a AutoKey program that's built in Python that is kind of kind of a copy of AutoHotkeys in a way, but it's definitely not near as powerful. But I think that not myself, but a lot of Linux people are developers full-time, and they are able to dig into the very esoteric aspect of Linux and make it do whatever they want without needing a program like AutoHotkey.
Yeah, I forget the name of it. Geek Dude always mentions one. He does a lot of stuff in Linux, and he mentions one that helps replicate a lot of the stuff you do in AutoHotkey in Linux, but yeah, I don't touch. And I understand what you're saying, Matthew. It would suck to, like, I'm almost useless when I go to someone else's computer. I try to do something and I'm like, oh, how do you actually do that? Because I've written a script that does it for me and I now can't remember.
Exactly.
That's like with my Echo device. I've started forgetting how to turn the lights on and off. I'm so used to just being like, ramp on. And I'm like, wait, it's offline. Where's my light switch again?
That's funny.
Yeah, I have a saying at my workplace. If I call somebody disabled, then my script isn't running on his PC, and then he feels like he's missing an arm, something like that.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else got any other questions? Anything they're working on?
Yeah, for those of us who are relatively new, would you recommend that you be working with version 1 or version 2?
Version 1.
Version 2.
Now here's the thing, Rob. What I say is, it partially depends on your background, and your goals. If if you were saying, hey, I want to be a programmer, right? I want to be an object-oriented programmer, and I'm just starting out, but that's my goal. I would agree with Dimitri, version 2. If you are a programmer, right, and that you know object programming, version 2. If you're more like on the other side of things where I'm just learning programming at all, and I just want to be able to do some automation, some basic stuff, version 1, hands down, is just simpler and, easier, right? So
there's a lot of people, they come to version 1 and they're like, I just want to do this one thing. Normally it's like a video game or something. I'm like, yeah, just stick with V1. If you're never going to use it again, or, it could be like a year from now or something. Yeah, V1.
Yeah, and the other big thing to think through is there is a crazy amount of scripts out there that are compatible with V1, and some of the newer stuff that is really cool is being developed in V2 and not V1. So, it's a balancing act also of like, hey, are the things I want already out there? Okay, V1 is still the way to go. But if there's new programs that are getting developed that I want to be able to do, like this UI automation stuff, some of the stuff is in V2 only, right? And the JavaScript thing that we shared the other day of how to use the JavaScript API directly from it, that's only V2, right? So it's something to consider also. But again, to me, it has much more to do with your mindset and experience and your goals of where you're going to go than it does what you're even working on.
Joe, I want to add something. You must mention that the GUIs are improved a lot in version 2, and I find it actually easier to work with GUIs on version 2.
I want to couch that. I want to. That's not the right word, but I want to rephrase what you said, because a lot of people don't like how the AutoHotkey GUIs look, right? And that's not what you're saying. They still look the same, right? Yeah. So when you say they're better, writing them is better, working with them is better, but they still look like an XP kind of GUI, right? So that's just because I don't want to get people excited to go, oh, I'm definitely going to use version 2. They have good GUI. No, it's not that, right? But yeah, and I totally agree with you from looking at your code. It is when you start learning, this is why that objects course that we launched was, to me, so amazing, is object-oriented programming. Once you get the hang of it, it's so much more intuitive, and being able to use methods and classes, it's so much more powerful, and the version 2 GUIs are written in a way that you leverage this, take advantage of it, and it does make it much easier to follow and to do. Yeah. And Dimitri actually led, I think, at least 2 sort of webinars and topics. You did one webinar, I think you led on it, on version 2. And then I think we had another hour-long video of what you need to know if you're making the switch, if I remember right. Does that sound right, Dimitri?
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone on my channel said, don't hate XP GUIs.
Someone chimed in and said that that's what they hate about AutoHotkey, the GUIs are so old. And I'm like, they're tested by billions of people. They're super fast, super reliable. Do they look dated? Yes. I just don't care. But I do understand it. And there is some stuff that both with Neutron and Maestruth has a HTML GUI class that allows you to use HTML to create better looking, more attractive GUIs that are also dynamic and, they adjust easier, which you can use in either version 1 or version 2, right? But you can make prettier. Dimitri, have you done stuff with HTML GUIs? I think you did some stuff, right?
HTML GUIs? No, actually
no.
not.
Okay, all right. I thought you did Neutron. No.
Then you need to learn a whole new way to write them, or you need to create an extra class that uses. Actually, I would do it like this. I would create an extra class that uses the AutoHotkey syntax, but then also includes extra possibilities to change it.
5-minute warning.
Yeah, we're getting down there.
Oh, do you have the results?
Yeah, I shared it earlier. It was almost 50-50. I said and actually it'd be a little bit more because Lasha, I think it was, chimed in.
More people chimed in.
Yeah, so it's a little bit over half of people said that they're at least dabbling with it. Tom in the chat, Matthew asked of the name of the Linux fork. What did you mention? It used to be Iron Age K, and then now it's
Hey, now it's Key Sharp.
Key Shark.
Yeah, I think it's Key Sharp. Hold on.
That's a good name.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, Joe. I didn't want to disrupt so close to the end.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I see Animon wrote in the chat, when V2 goes final, I really hope we're going to see a lot of V1 libraries written in V2, and people using Active I might also be porting some of them. Yeah, cool.
It's already happening.
Yeah, I agree. You're seeing more and more, and I'm really grateful to see it. I'm still kind of concerned in the long run for AutoHotkey, kind of with how Python was, where, you know, when Python was switching between version 2 to version 3, it took years, and I'm a little, you know, troubled too, because for newer people, one of the strengths of AutoHotkey is it's so easy to pick up and so intuitive, and version 2 just adds a little bit more complexity to it, so it's not as noob friendly, is basically what it boils down to, right? It's stricter, tighter, which is what programmers love. That's what they complain about most about AutoHotkey. At the same time, it means people that are learning it, it's going to be a little harder to learn, a little more difficult.
Yeah, and that's something I've been saying for a while too, along with you. Just, you know, I'm a little concerned how long it was in alpha, then beta, and nobody seems to. The only people who seem to be using it, like 90% of people, are, you know, people who are very advanced at coding, or they just go, oh, AutoHotkey version 2, obviously that's a newer, that's what I should get.
Right.
They just see the newest version and they default that.
Well, yeah. But
I have noticed a lot of more, you know, code popping up on, you know, Reddit, you know, the forums where people are coding in version 2. But we still got a while, probably.
Awesome. Well, thanks, everyone. Let us know if you have any more questions, or we'll see you next week. Thanks for dropping on, Dimitri. It's been a while since How was your scuba diving? Did it go well?
Excellent. I missed it. There was a water tornado that passed by the day after I was there, so I missed
Wow.
it.
That would have sucked.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, unless someone else has something that's 3 minutes long, I'm going to take a little bio break.
Sharp, not Key Shark.
It's what?
Key Sharp.
Sharp. Oh, okay. That's what I was asking. I'm like, Key Shark? That's weird. Okay, well, now it's Key Shark, because that's what I wrote in my chat.
Sounds cooler.
Awesome, everyone. Well, thank you. Those heroes, we'll see you there momentarily, but thank you very much. You guys have a great week. Have a great weekend.